Hello and welcome to Rabbit Hole Research. I am Chevy Cool Lady bringing you another hot topic as we dive into a fire hole called World Fairs, World Fires. And this is a mystery of smoke and mirrors. We will dive right into the center of the fairs, taking a first look at the Crystal Palaces and the weak narrative we are fed about them. We want to know how they went from the grand and glorious to heaps of burning rubble in just a few short years. We also want to know who built these and the rest of the white structures we are told were temporary. They don't look too temporary to me. What do you think? One of the forefront exhibit halls was called the Crystal Palace. The first of two was built in 3 years and was opened in 1851 in Hyde Park, London. Then later moved to Sydenham, London.
So it closed for a couple years, then reopened in 1854. Governed by the company, who ran the palace as a popular attraction for entertainment, education, and culture. The company also developed the surrounding parkland and gardens, which included fountains, statues, and a series of themed courts. This does not sound suspicious at all. I wonder if the place was lit up and had free electricity. Also, the company, as we call it, ran the palace until 1911 when it was taken over by a trust company. When I hear a company with the name trust encoded into it, I automatically do not trust them at all. Please leave your thoughts on the company and the palaces.
Here is some information that Wiki gives us concerning the original Crystal Palace. Built in Hyde Park, London, to house the Great Exhibition of 1851. More than 14,000 exhibitors came from around the world, gathered in 990,000 square feet space to exhibit displays of the developed technology from the Industrial Revolution. This building was designed by Joseph Paxton, and was 3 times the size of St. Paul's Cathedral. The 60,000 panes of glass were manufactured by the Chase brothers. The 990,000 square foot building, with its 128-foot-high ceiling, was complete in 39 weeks. I feel I should stop here and laugh. Are you kidding me? What kind of storyline is this? Unbelievable. I feel all of these numbers are symbolic or meant to represent something. Let's take a moment for this to sink in. Take a good look at these photos.
Let's take a look at the exhibits in the original Crystal Palace. Please let me know if you have any thoughts or information about these exhibits in the comment box. I would love to hear your ideas and will respond to this growing community of truth seekers. You are my world. Let's discover the cover-ups together. And, friend, the information presented in the official narratives concerning, well, just about everything is fishy at best. I wish I was kidding, but we are just digging up this rabbit hole concerning 1800s to the turn of the century world fairs. And as it is such a comprehensive topic, we will start with the Crystal Palaces and the destroyed state in which they became. Stopping briefly to look inside these amazing structures, please stay with me to the end to find out any dirt on the company. Please like and subscribe while you're down there.
The World's Fair weekend held amazing attractions. For those lucky enough to attend. But, wait, it looks like many did attend. The overwhelming crowds, the absurd style of dress, the cost, the travel means, the communication, for a nations and people that were traveling by horse and buggy? And what about restrooms? I shudder to think. None of it makes any sense. Perhaps they were indoctrinating the reset population on every aspect of life. I don't know, but here, we open our eyes and consider the possibilities. Back to the palace. The exhibits at the Hyde Park Fair included in the huge glass and iron structure called the Crystal Palace, were a jacquard loom, an envelope machine, kitchen appliances, steel making display, ceramics, including Majolica, the largest known diamond called the Koh-i-Noor diamond. The phrase means mountain of light weighing in at 105.6 carats. Controversy, a demand for its return to India, and a curse are wrapped up in its history. A huge crystal fountain, which was the centerpiece of the exhibit, was 27 feet high and held 4,000 gallons of water. A series of daguerreotypes, the earliest forms of photography. A model of Niagara Falls. I could not find a picture of this display. If you have one, please post it in the comments. I can only imagine. It was made of 100,000 pieces of glass and had a working waterfall. The building was 1,851 feet long, with an interior height of 128 feet, constructed with an intricate network of slender iron walls that sustained the walls of clear glass. What do you think? Who built these structures, the horse and buggy man? The outhouse guy? Let me know. As magnificent as the Crystal Palaces were, along with the fantastic buildings that take my breath away, were destroyed by fire. Let's take a look at the sus nature of these fires now. Fire is the all-too-common theme we see when investigating historical sites. It's as if we were searching for a history that has been suppressed. When we look for architectural plans or photographic evidence, it seems to be non-existent. I asked AI to write a poem for me about the world fairs and fires. It is pretty good, but humorously, includes the notion that everything was made of plaster and blames the burning on faulty materials. Clearly we were told the Crystal Palace was made of iron and glass, yet we see mass fire engagement throughout all the structures. The Hyde Park structure was moved to another location, again a theme we see on many historical buildings, and deserves more research. The cold storage building was the given cause for the burning of the Chicago World Fair. It is a marvel, both the fairs and their destruction. The World Fairs were a spectacle, a marvel of invention. But they also had a flaw that deserves a little mention. They were built with flammable materials that could easily catch on fire, and when they did, they caused amiss that was anything but dire. The people ran and screamed and cried, but some also laughed and cheered. They watched the flames consume the sites that they had once revered. The Ferris wheel, the Eiffel Tower, the statues, and the art, they all went up in smoke and ash and fell quickly apart. The World Fairs were a tragedy, but also a comedy. They showed us both the highs and lows of human ingenuity. I found the narrative continuing in the AI's poem amusing, but still there is a point made of human frailty in the midst of greatness. Here is a bonus, for all my subs, and first-time friends, who have stuck with me until now. The mysterious Crystal Palace Company, and some of its leading members. We will discuss the duties and derelictions of the elitist group. We will tie in the re-education program, and please, leave me a note. This is curious stuff and I would love a discussion of ideas. People like us have to share with each other, because most of our family and friends do not want to hear our smack. Just being real. We will begin by saying the Crystal Palace Company was in charge of managing and maintaining the Crystal Palace. There was talk that in its first year, things were too hard for whatever staff they has to keep up with, so this group was formed. I could not find out who these original staff people were, but the company was formed and we find, first and foremost, our friend and palace builder, Joseph Paxton, who served as chairman from 1852 to 1855. As a side note, the company managed the palace until 1911 when it was sold to the Trust Company. Who is Joseph Paxton? He was head gardener for Cavendish. He developed greenhouses and was known for his experiments producing the Cavendish banana. In his spare time he was a member of Parliament, architect, engineer, and built the Crystal Palace, and developed the most consumed banana in the Western world. And he was knighted. He was what I would call a figurehead, with this long list of achievements. We see so often, one man attributed with a stupid number of accomplishments. The odds of it being a real person is diminished in my regard. Oh yeah, the internet also listed Paxton as one of the 5 builders of London. Right under Claudius. Moving right along. Brings us to Leo Schuster, 1819 to 1904. He was a German-born man who married a distant cousin. He was a banker and a politician who ran the palace as chairman for almost 40 years. Not a lot of information was found on this guy. Next is Edward Betts, a civil engineer who lived from 1815 to 1872. He was a civil engineer mainly involved in the railroads. Now the railroads is a point of note. Remember the orphan trains, the moving and relocating of thousands of children through this time frame. If you would like more information, I have several videos addressing the reset population, genetic editing of mass population and the distributing of the children. Absolutely astonishing information is to be had in those clips, so I invite you to check them out. So here is a connection from the re-education center called the Crystal Palace to the railways, what we call the orphan trains. Once indoctrinated, they are ready to ship out across the nation. By the way, this is a worldwide state of unexplainable situations. The long story here ties in what is now known as Southeastern Railway and also obtained the Great Northern Railway, both of which are owned today by his family. He found time to be vice chairman of the company for about 20 years. William Cubitt also was a director from the start up until 1861. Also a civil engineer for the railways as well as president of the Institution of Civil Engineers, and chief engineer for the Crystal Palace. He started his career as a millwright and cabinet maker, nothing to see here. Next comes a rather interesting name, Isambard Kingdom Brunel. A British civil engineer, mechanical engineer, and considered one of the greatest figures of the Industrial Revolution. Who changed the face of the English landscape. Brunel built the Great Western Railway, a series of steam ships, numerous important bridges and tunnel. Developed the largest ship in its day, and considered to be one of the top 100 Britons in history. Another figurehead, I would say. So that is 2 out of the top 5, who are involved with the company, so far. Which brings us to number 4, Charles Barry, who lived from 1795 to 1860, an architect. At last, a builder. And director of the company from 1852 until 1860. Attributed with a ton of buildings, including rebuilding the Palace of Westminster. He did way too much to write down. Another figurehead? I don't know. One more. I find the deep dives interesting, I hope you do too. There is plenty more digging to do. I encourage you to research for yourselves, we need more facts and less fiction out there today. The last of the top 5 members and leaders of the company is Robert Stephenson. 1803 to 1859. Born on my birthday, October 16th. That is the sweetest day, by the way. What do you know, a civil engineer tied to the railways. In fact, he is dubbed the father of the railways. Following a family tradition, built an extensive list of bridges, tunnels, and railways throughout the world. He started off as a brakesman and shoe mender. My, how he rose to greatness. Hate to say figurehead, but it seems the Crystal Palace is teeming with them. So what I see is along a dirty trail leading to the exportation and distribution of the reset population tied into the Crystal Palace and the company that was running it. And we have barely touched the surface. I thank you for your time. See ya in the next video.